women, by and large, are significantly inferior to men at firefighting. Wah! Smell. I seek teardrop and muddy. I know this is pretty radical thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Fembots can essentially kiss my ass. If you don't like it, Tumblr is that way. Oh, hi there. Welcome to the Freedom Alternative. Now, after quite a few sound decisions promoted by the Norwegian government, not least the ones to start prosecuting false rape accusers and to start deporting foreign criminals, there had to come some gem of stupidity as well, because otherwise Norway might have lost its Scandinavian membership card. The local Norway titles Norway to let 7-year-olds change gender, and the subtitle is Children as young as 7 would be allowed to change their legal gender under a bill proposed by Norway's government on Thursday, bringing it one of the lowest ages for transgender rights anywhere in the world. And it says, this is an important area where Norway has lagged far behind many other countries for many years, Health Minister Bent Høie said as he announced the plan during the Oslo Pride Festival. Now we can be proud that we are implementing this law, he added. According to the Norwegian Health Ministry, most European countries only allow citizens to change the gender assigned to them at birth after they turn 18. Now, what's the business with this kind of language, assigned to them at birth? As if this is done by someone other than chromosomes, that is to say by the nature. There is also some linguistic confusion at play here. In most languages on Earth, the word gender refers to the grammatical characteristic of a noun. For humans, we have a proper word for that. We call it sex. You know, we used to call that in English too. I mean, at least when I started learning English. But since English lost its grammatical gender a few hundred years ago, this allowed gender ideologues to make the case that there is such thing as gender, which is somehow separate from sex. Most English speakers and most people now use gender and sex interchangeably, which is fabulous from the ideologue's point of view, because any demented ideology thrives when confusion is the norm. But this didn't work in most places. It didn't even work in Sweden, for instance, where now they have kön, which is used for sex, and genus for gender. It seems that in Norway they're now trying to avoid making the same mistake and simply take the word kön, presently used for sex, and make it mean whatever they want. Also, on the linguistic confusion front, one's sex isn't assigned by the clerk who writes the birth certificate. A certificate is something that is issued after the fact and is meant to, well, certify a pre-existing state of affairs. In other words, the baby is born, we look between its legs, recognize reality, and then write up a certificate to certify what just happened. And although this may sound radical to many, but what I say here rings true for the overwhelming majority of the planet, but not for gender ideologues. In their distorted thinking, the clerk breaches human rights when certifies that a kid is a boy or a girl. Seriously, I'm not joking. Look, it says here in the same article. However, Richard Schöle of the Transgender Europe lobby group told Reuters that the gold standard was to have no formal limit, as in Malta. Generally, it is very good to allow very young trans persons to have their gender identity respected, he said. Until April this year, Norway insisted that those seeking to change their legal gender undergo surgery, a practice which transgender activists argue was a violation of human rights. So there we go. Not pandering to 5-year-old girls who say they're boys, or vice versa, is a violation of human rights. Now, look. Whether you like it or not, transsexualism is a disorder. Don't trust me, just check the DSM. And disorders are treated by the medical field, not by legislation. Or at least that used to be the case back in the old days when politicians were sane, or at least saner than now, and common sense prevailed. Nowadays, we no longer treat people who want one or more of their limbs cut off as mentally disordered, but as transabled. Seriously, not joking. By the same token, we no longer treat those who want their breasts or penis cut off as people worthy of compassion and treatment for their disorder, but as transsexual. Now, as As a liberty-oriented person myself, I personally have no qualm with those who wish to undergo such procedures. It's their body, and nobody but themselves suffers the consequences of such a decision. On the other hand, children should not, under any circumstances, be allowed to go through any such procedures, be they hormone replacement or sex change surgery or whatever else is being cooked, and we don't know about it yet. Children simply don't have a fully developed frontal lobe and therefore are objectively incapable of making such a decision. And this is true regardless of what activists of any kind insist. Also, from the same perspective, as a liberty-oriented person myself, I totally and utterly reject any demands from anyone to conform in this pretend game. No, sorry, Bruce Jenner is not a woman and Buck Angel is not a man. And no amount of PC shaming is going to make me say otherwise. If you don't like it, Tumblr is that way. Go ahead. Go ahead on Tumblr and whine that I have some sort of phobia. Because nowadays, not pandering to every nonsensical tosh that emerges and demands tolerance is now a phobia. Screw that nonsense. In this article, it also says that they would be able to reverse the decision to change gender at will. And that's an opportunity right there. If I were a Norwegian citizen, I'd gather a group of friends and go change our legal sex 4 times a week, every week, until they either change the law back to sanity, or they ban us from doing so. And if they ban us from doing so, then I'd go full progressive on them and whine that it is a breach of my human rights. Because, you know, I genuinely believe that an efficient way to protest this insanity is to play the absurdity game against them. You know, make them live up to their own rules and see how they like it. They do it to us liberty-oriented people all the time. Maybe it's time to turn the table against them. And with that being said, don't forget to click the subscribe button and consider supporting this channel. Thanks for watching.